We are proud to partner with such great advertisers, but our title advertiser is the best, Chick-fil-A. They have, of course, amazing chicken sandwiches. We all know that. But one of the things that I think people fail to realize is they also are an outstanding catering company. We're fortunate enough to enjoy Chick-fil-A at the Collinsville Holiday Tournament every year. They have a Chick-fil-A night, also at the Bevel East Tournament. And they can do, platters of whatever you need. It's an amazing deal. So go online at chickfila.com and take a look at some of the options for the catering. It's a holiday season. You've got Thanksgiving coming up. You've got Christmas coming up. Give mom a night off. Give the kitchen a rest and order some Chick-fil-A. Thanks again to Dave Holmes and the entire team there at Chick-fil-A in Fairview Heights. That's where we want you to check them out. Right there by the Target store. We got that right, wasn't it? It was right by the Target store. Did we figure that out?
No, it's down the block.
Down the block, about a block down south of or north of the Target store. Check them out in Fairview Heights. Chick-fil-A, the best chicken in the world on every day but Sunday.
One-time world's heavyweight champion Danny Pounder's here. And when the Pound Man puts his name on something, you know it's the very best. So anytime you see that 618 High School Huddle scroll across your marquee, just remember, you're listening to the #1 podcast in all the world.
Welcome to the 618 High School Huddle, hosted by Jim Thompson, Scott Warren, and AJ Thompson. And as you just heard, we are proud to announce that this is the #1 podcast in all the land.
No, it's not.
Shut up, man. It sounds better when I say it this way. The #1 podcast in all the land.
Nope, not even close.
Shut up, man. The #1 podcast is the 618 High School Huddle, and here we go.
Not even in the top 100,000.
AJ will check it out for us. Are we good? Welcome to episode number 40 of the 618 High School Huddle. Been a long weekend. Got to watch a lot of good football. Late last night I watched some really bad football. Well, depends on how you look at it. We'll talk about that. With that 8A game last night. The usual host of suspects are here tonight. By my side here is Scott Warren. Rejoining us now, probably for the rest of the winter, will be my son, AJ Thompson, who is one of the founders and broadcasters from Locker Room Talk, another podcast on this network. And of course, I'm Jim Thompson. Had a good day watching football yesterday. We did a recap already of Rochester and East St. Louis. The one thing I don't know if we did justice was, I know we talked about Beatty, about Hank Beatty, and the fact that he's the #1 receiver in the state and #5 in the nation. That's a crazy number, and he's going to be a quarterback next year.
Yeah.
And then tonight we got a chance to listen to Derek Leonard's post-game speech. It was incredible. It gives you chills when you hear this guy talk. Here he is. It's number 8, but there was something different about this one. And I think the bump into 5A, a lot of doubters out there. A lot of people thought, well, this is a good little 4A team. They're great, but put them in 5A and put them up against St. Rita, and let's see if they want to play some real football.
Yeah, I think we were on board from the beginning. We thought that they would end up right where they ended up. So
yeah, just an awesome run for Rochester. Also an awesome run for the East St. Louis Flyers, completing what we all expected in August, a state championship run, 43-21 over a pretty good Prairie Ridge team. This time it was East St. Louis's defense that did the dirty work and got things going, including a 98 or 94 yard fumble return.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And really excited for East St. Louis. And don't worry about them, as you heard yesterday. A lot of juniors on that team, including Tyler Macon. It'd be interesting to see what happens there. And they had several Missouri commits on that squad. It's going to be interesting now with the firing of Barry Odom, what will happen there, because Barry Odom was supposed to be the next coming.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know of what, but okay.
Well, yeah.
Well, we'll see if Lovey can get in there, maybe give these guys something to think about now that Odom's gone.
He's got to jump early. I saw 2 decommits already today. Kids that are reopening their recruitment that had committed to Mizzou. So,
Come on, Lovey.
yeah, boy, the phone better be. I don't know if it's a non-contact period, but as soon as you can make contact, let's get on it. Then we kind of we departed, went our separate ways last night. I went home and watched a very, very fun 7A game with storylines abound. You had 2 undefeated teams, 13-0. Chicago Mount Carmel taking on LaGrange Park Nazareth Academy. And while it got a little silly towards the end, it was actually a pretty good game, but Nazareth really had trouble getting going. What's the story here is what's happened at Mount Carmel, as Jordan Lynch, those of you that follow college football, you probably know that name, out of Northern Illinois University. So he's coaching his first state championship game on the field that he played on. Was an outstanding All-American type player there. And the board, or whoever's in charge at Mount Carmel, moved a 35-year veteran coach out to bring this kid in.
Interesting.
A veteran coach that had won countless numbers of state titles.
I'd like to have been at that board meeting.
And what they were seeing was the aging. As he aged, they were starting to see signs that the program was aging, and that if they weren't able to necessarily keep up. He was a pure run-only offense. They ran that wishbone.
Right.
We got to see him play at Bevel West a few years ago, but I didn't realize all this had happened. And so they bring Jordan Lynch in.
Last year, right? It's the second year.
This is his first.
I thought it was the second year.
We'll have to look it up. I thought it was his first.
Okay. But the reality of it is,
In 2 years, he won a state title.
you take your hat off to the board because they recognize that maybe things were getting a little stale, to use a term, and hey, thank you for your 35 years, but we need to go in a different direction. I applaud him for that.
I do applaud him for that, and I applaud him for the fact that, they probably saw this as an opportunity to bring back one of their own and get a guy in there that not only understands Mount Carmel, but his brother was the quarterback on this year's team.
Right.
And it was pretty fun to watch. I guess that would be under Chicago, you think? And then Mount Carmel?
Yeah, we'll be here till midnight.
Oh, because we'll have to go, well, it's probably right here, because that's Luther South. It'll probably be, just hang with us, folks. That's the beauty of the way we do this, is we get to just hang out. And AJ, what's new in the bowling world? Maybe you could thrill us with a bowling story or two.
What we do isn't thrilling.
Yeah,
Okay.
There you go.
Made a big purchase, though. Here it is. Never mind. Got your own ball. So here's what Frank Lenti was the guy's name. This is Jordan Lynch's second year. And here's all Frank Lenti did. He had a career that started in 1984 and spanned until 2017, 2018. He won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 state championships.
And lost 5, so he went 16 times.
Yeah, he went 16 times. That's pretty crazy.
In 30, you're going every other year, practically.
He had a career 374 and 77 run. Now, they qualified, but I think what people got worried about, they went 8-5, then 10-3, then 8-5, and 9-4. All great seasons.
Yeah.
but no appearances beyond qualifying for state. Let's see, 8 and 5, 13. Well, 13 would have got you made the semifinals. You've been in the semifinals every year. But they bring in Jordan Lynch. Imagine this kid, and they say, "Hey, by the way, we're gonna kind of need you to go to the semifinals at least first year." So he responds by going 11 and 2, and then this year 14 and 0. So his record is now 25 and 2. And they are exciting and they are fun to watch.
It'd be interesting to see, excuse me, if he's there very long and not off the college ball.
Yeah, there's, I think they said, I thought maybe I saw on the broadcast that there's perhaps another brother coming. Or I don't know. Anyway, it was fun to watch. They're a legendary program. I do like seeing these young guys, the ones that are talented, get an opportunity like that and then have them answer the bell. And then in 8A, did you watch the 8A game?
No.
Frankfurt, Lincoln Way East, who just won state 3 years ago and is a legendary program up there, get the 12-0 victory.
Whoa.
Now, they announced before the game, they said this is literally, if anybody can move the ball at all in this game, that will be the team that wins, because these two defenses are incredible. And I thought, okay, I've heard that before. I didn't look at the final. I think they'll have it here at the final box.
Was it good defense or bad offense? Or both?
It wasn't good defense. It was ridiculous defense. Let me just run some of these numbers by you. So the first two scores were 46 and 45-yard field goals by,
Wow.
yeah, in that weather.
Holy cow.
And now I didn't get to see them
No.
because they were using that side
Yeah.
angle.
Right.
Warren had 3 first downs. Warren had 11 rushing yards and 25 passing yards. They had 36 yards of offense. And then we're going to offset that.
And they got shut out? Can't believe it.
It was unbelievable. And then we can offset that. Where's the penalties? Because I believe they had 67 yards of penalties or something.
Well, it says penalty on the third line there, but it just says number of penalties, right?
Yeah, no, that's not right. Penalties, number of yards. They had 117 yards in penalties.
12 penalties.
12 penalties for 117 yards, and you had 36 yards offense.
Yeah, that's not the right number that you want to.
I mean, this Lincoln team, my goodness, they were all over the ball. Lincoln Way East has a kid committed to Michigan. He's a blue chip prospect, 4-star guy, and he is really fun to watch. He couldn't even get loose. He did get one touchdown last night. He got that touchdown that you saw listed here at the beginning of the box score. A.J. Henning is his name. He got a 56-yard run. That was it. He ended the night. Now, this is a 220 yards per game for this guy usually. And last night he had 29 carries for 125 yards.
Well, 50 plus of it was on one play.
On one play. So if you take that one out, you're looking at 28 carries for 70 yards.
Yeah. They all count, but still, I mean.
Oh, it was crazy. And then passing, 0 for 3.
Oh.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a stinker. But, I appreciated the fact that it was a state championship game. And, sometimes you get those. It does happen. But hats off to all the teams there. It was fun weekend. The weather sucked. And that puts an official cap on this season. And we will now turn our attentions to the hardwood and to basketball. We've already had a lot of tournaments being played, but let's do this because tomorrow is a very big day in our area. The Highland Shootout, an event that's very close to our hearts. As you know, I really enjoy, I do the public address announcing for the shootout. Very excited about it this year. The tickets for the Highland Shootout will go on sale online at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And you'll see a link on our Twitter.
you can get to it through there. This year, the girls game, which is the first game of the day at 8:30 a.m., will pit the Greenville girls versus the Highland, Illinois girls. Highland always has a good program. Then in game 2, we will have the Highland boys versus the Triad boys. Then we get to the craziness. Game 3, Archbishop Tolton out of Columbia, Missouri. You guys might remember them being there a few years ago with Porter. Just unbelievable show he put on. They will take on a pretty hyped up modern day team. We'll see, they're not playing particularly well just yet. They were in the Metro East Lutheran tournament. I know there's been some football hangover there, but listen to the players that are going to be in this 11:30 game. Coben Porter is a 6'5" senior, I'm assuming.
Got to be related some way.
To John Tay and what's the other?
Michael
Porter Jr., yeah. He's ranked number 238 in the country. He's got an offer from Sam Houston State. And then, I guess the baby of the family, Javon Porter, a 6'8" sophomore, is also playing in that game. You just got to stop that. It's driving me nuts. I'm about to go crazy, folks. Caleb Zerlini will lead Mater Dei. He's a 6'5", 6'6" senior committed to Purdue Northwest. And the coach's kid, Jacob Shattig, 5'10" point guard, he's committed to, and I believe just signed with McKendree. So that's pretty exciting. Then game 4, DeSmet versus Collinsville, the 1 o'clock game. DeSmet will roll out nationally ranked, number 91 nationally ranked player, Siko Gassama, and I'll get better at that when I get there that night, or that day. He is a junior, a 6'10" junior with offers from SLU, Indiana State, Missouri State, and LSU. They also feature Yaya Kieta, a 6'9" junior. He is ranked number 119, and he has offers from Iowa, SLU, and SIU Carbondale.
Both South City guys, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's right, yeah.
All right, just checking.
Rayshawn Taylor, the 5'10", 5'10", I thought he was a little taller than that, but 5'10" senior at Collinsville, just finished off a great tournament down south. He's ranked number 251. He has already signed with SIU Edwardsville. In game 5, Melville, Missouri versus Trinity Catholic. Davion Bradford, a 7-foot senior from Melville. He is nationally ranked 133rd. He is going to play at Kansas State. Dylan Branson, a 6'5" senior, also at Melville. He has offers from SLU, Carbondale, Nebraska, DePaul, Lamonte Doherty. I believe this is one of the kids that transferred from DuQuoin.
They had 2 or 3 of them transfer, yeah.
6'7" senior, he has offers from Carbondale and SLU. And then, of course, over on the Trinity side, they are led by 7-footer Ryan Kalkbrenner. He is going to Creighton. So he's going to play up there in Nebraska, in Omaha. And it'll be interesting to see how that goes for him. He's ranked number 69 in the country. Rashad Weekly McDaniels, 6-foot senior, and he is committed to Central Michigan. So a couple of Division I, you got 5 Division I guys in that game. Now these are the early games.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be building.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are.
Okay. Game 6 at 4:45 p.m. Hamilton, Wisconsin versus Chaminade. Patrick Baldwin, a 6'9" junior, plays for Hamilton. Well, no big deal. He's just ranked number 2 in the country. He has offers, now this will shock you, from Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, and North Carolina.
Oof.
And, McKendree.
Oh, okay, missed that one.
Luke Kasubke, maybe my all-time favorite name to say, and it's fun because normally when I'm saying it, it's after he's knocked down a 25-footer. He is a 6'5" senior at Chaminade. He's ranked number 145 nationally, and he has inked his way to Kansas State. Terrace Reed, a 6'8" sophomore out of Chaminade. he already has offers from SLU and K-State. Matthias Case, a 6'5 senior at Chaminade, offers from SIU Edwardsville, Drake, and Florida Atlantic. And Harrison Vickers, a very exciting, explosive player, 6'5" senior from Chaminade, has an offer from the University of Illinois Springfield. And then it gets stupid. Now it's going to get stupid. Game number 7, which is at 6:30 on the night of the shootout. How about Chicago Simeon versus Vashon? You're welcome. And folks, if after I read through this, if you aren't setting your alarms for 7:45 tomorrow morning to get online and buy tickets to this, you're losing your minds. Ahmad Bynum, a 6'1" junior at Simeon, is nationally ranked number 90. He has offers from Mizzou, Illinois, Wisconsin, etc. Jalen Drain, a 6'1" sophomore, nationally ranked at number 74. He has an offer from Chicago State. Jeremiah Williams, a 6'5" senior for Simeon, nationally ranked number 214, offers from SIU Carbondale, Northern Iowa, Akron, etc. Cameron Fletcher, the smooth 6'6" senior for Vashon, nationally ranked number 37 in the country, and he has inked his way to Kentucky. Nick Kern, a 6'5" junior, nationally ranked number 216. He has an offer from Coach Ford over at SLU, as well as DePaul. Kobe Clark, a 6'4" senior for Vashon, nationally ranked number 349, has an offer from SLU and K-State. And Philip Russell, he's the 5'10" guard out of Vashon. He is already committed to SEMO. And then that sets us up for the nightcap, which is going to feature one of the best teams in the state of Illinois versus probably the best team in the state of Missouri. Chicago Whitney Young will be taking on CBC. For Chicago, they have the electrifying DJ Stewart, the 6'3" kind of a combo 1-2 guy. He can do a little bit of everything. He's nationally ranked number 26. He's already signed with Duke. Tyler Beard, a 6'2" senior for Whitney Young, ranked number 212. He's got offers from. That's pretty good coaching right there. You've got Matt Painter, you've got McCaffrey, and then West Virginia and our buddy Bob Huggins.
Right.
I don't think he's thrown up on the back of a police car in a while, so everything's good there. Grant Newell, 6'6" junior for Whitney Young, ranked number 208. He's got an offer on the table from DePaul. And then for CBC, they're all everything. Caleb Love, nationally ranked number 21, and he is signed, sealed, and he's ready to be delivered to North Carolina. And then you might recognize this next name. A 6'3" sophomore for CBC named Larry Hughes. This will be Larry Hughes' son. This is Larry Hughes II. He is already in the top 100 in the country. And as a sophomore, everything is open, but I have to feel like there might be some peaks taken from SLU at that situation. So what a night. Hopefully my voice will, I'm going to tell them I'm willing to do games 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and we'll see what happens. So a lot of fun coming up at the Highland Shootout. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and we come back. I've got a little nugget to share here with my fellow broadcasters and with you, Colin. You are watching the 618 High School Huddle, hosted by BigRedWorld.org. The fact is that for most of us, our homes are our single biggest investment. And when something's wrong with your home, there's nothing quite that can replace that sick feeling in your stomach. If you have water leaking into your house, or if you have a crack in your wall and you've got any concerns about it, Be Dry Basement Waterproofing will make that sick feeling go away. Free estimates. They do crawl space work. They will seal off your crawl space to keep odors from getting up into your house and moisture. They do piering. They do anchoring. They do just simple crack repair and egress window installation, a little bit of everything. Give them a call at 1-800-966-2379 or visit them online at bedrysolutions.com. Tell them that you heard about them on the 618 High School Huddle, and they'll give you a special discount. Be Dry Basement Waterproofing. Nobody does it better. Protect your investments. Welcome back to the 618 High School Huddle. Yours truly, Jim Thompson, joined by Scott Warren and AJ Thompson. If you caught the last segment, we put a nice bow on the football season. I wanted to ask before we totally get out of that, what was your best memory of this past fall?
Just in general, our 618 area being represented as well as they were all year long had a great season overall. Lots of teams, lots of really good teams for the first time in a long time, and lots of teams advancing deep into the fall.
For me, it was setting chairs on fire at Mater Dei. We are going to open a side business here with the 618 High School Huddle. If you need any office furniture burned, we will handle that.
Yeah, we
It's
can do
going to
that.
be the 618 High School Huddle arson team.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea, AJ?
No,
Oh, all right.
that won't go down well with law enforcement.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, well, we won't do that then. It just sounded like a good idea to me. So that wraps things up for football. Did you have a good football memory? Did you watch a game this year?
Yeah, 3.
Which
They were
one?
all Waterloo.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
So
you
no, I
didn't-
had no real football experience.
Okay,
Okay.
fair enough. All right, so it was a good year. I hope, Colin, that you had a good time. You know, one of the exciting things for me was introducing you to some of this for the first
Now
time.
you got to experience a lot of things.
And
Right,
what's your highlight of the year? What was your favorite moment, or did you have a favorite moment?
I don't know that I had a moment specifically, but with covering Muscuda, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I picked the right time to do that or something
Yeah.
like that, so that was good.
Yeah, that would definitely be 1A, and 1B would be our relationship and the quality of the human beings at Muscuda,
Right.
and then the ones at Mater Dei also. Not that we didn't have great courtesy everywhere else, but
Sure.
they just rolled out the red carpet for us. And at Muscuda, we have a spotless record. We haven't burned anything.
Right.
So
far.
Right, all right. So, and Scott Battis, we will be there tomorrow night, by the way. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I want to share something with you guys. This was on Twitter earlier today. It's a letter from the superintendent of Concord Triopia High School. I forget where Concord is. I think it's up by Springfield. It's a 217 number, so that's probably a pretty fair guess.
Right.
And this was written, is today the 1st?
Yesterday was the first.
Today's
Today's
Oh, today's the first. Yeah.
Okay, it was written today.
Yeah.
Dear parents and community members, last year was a lot of fun for Triopia Athletics. Our football team made the state quarterfinals, our girls basketball team made the Elite Eight, and our boys basketball team made it to the state tournament in Peoria.
It's a good year.
During this short 6-month span, our athletes and coaches made memories that will last a lifetime in different facilities and made our communities proud, Our following was a sight to behold. I will never forget that sea of blue in different facilities. I'll never forget where I was and who I was with during some spectacular moments or the sense of pride I had during that time. I hope the feeling was the same for you. Remembering how we felt during that memorable year, I think is a nice segue into this month's topic. According to the internet, to keep things in perspective means to take into consideration the true measure of importance or to think about a situation in a wise and reasonable way. As we move into the winter sports season, I hope we as a community can keep things in perspective as we show up to local gymnasium to watch our athletes participate. Did you know that we're in the middle of a crisis, especially in rural parts of the state? Officials for athletic contests are getting harder and harder to find. This has led to some contests being moved or canceled altogether. According to the IHSA, between 2012 and 2017, there has been a decline of 11% of officials renewing their license. Statistics show that 80% of new officials give it up by their 3rd year, and we've heard that before.
Yeah.
It's a staggering stat. As you show up to the gym this winter, keep this shrinking population in mind, and if I may, If you are doing anything other than cheering on your team when you go to a game, take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror. You're not only embarrassing yourself and your neighbor, but you're probably embarrassing the team you're rooting for. Coaching is a calling that many can't handle. You take athletes at all different ability levels, put in countless hours, and hope that your work and preparation are good enough to win at the end of the day. Wow, their superintendent cares about winning. Huh, weird. You build relationships with these athletes and hope that all is cohesive so that you have some success. You make decisions on playing time, which is a largely impossible task, where someone is going to be unhappy. This is also while battling the second guessing in the stands on why you made that call or chose that play. We've even received anonymous letters in the past regarding coaching decisions or hires. This is certainly not showing the ability to keep things in perspective. Please be supportive of these individuals, unless, of course, they suck out loud. I added that part.
I figured.
If I were the superintendent, I would have
Right.
added that.
Right.
If you notice, I'm not a superintendent.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please be supportive of these individuals. With all of that being said, I would argue that we have some of the best fans in the area. The support our athletes and coaches receive is incredible. I just share all of this with you to let you know when you get caught up in the heat of the moment and you want to yell at an official who is a human being, take a deep breath. If you want to bash a coach with other parents after a game who's done everything they can to the best of their abilities, take a second and chill out. I look forward to seeing you all in the gym this winter, rooting on our boys, girls, and coaches, and giving our officials the respect they deserve. Go Trojans. Sincerely, Adam Dean, Superintendent.
Did you add chill out, or was that in there?
No, chill out.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
take a second and chill out.
All right. Just asking.
Thoughts?
If we're at the point where we have to send letters out to police behavior, I don't know. I'm kind of done and over the whole thing. I'm on record, and I'll say it again. I don't blame him for doing this, but I'm on the record as saying I won't coach anymore because of parent behavior, and I'll stand by that, and I'll have the conversation with anybody who wants to have it. But the reality of it is, there's a fine line there. So if I'm in the gym and my son or daughter's playing, I don't agree with the call, I should be able to voice my opinion in certain ways. And if there's a line there, if I cross it, I get it. I shouldn't do that. And if they ask me to leave, they ask me to leave. But for him to sit there and say, well, if there's a bad call, or if there's this, if there's that, don't show any emotion, don't do anything. I get it. Don't embarrass yourself. But I think being able to voice some displeasure is okay too.
Yeah. AJ, what are your thoughts as a student if you were a student in this district, you would have received this letter also?
Well, I think as a student who sits in student sections, there's you should have the ability to do more than just support your team. Always, I think heckling the other team is always allowed, especially just being part of a student section is what students do.
I think here's the thing. The type of heckling, and I know what you're referring to, the type of heckling you're referring to is pretty harmless.
Yeah.
Asking a guy at the free throw line how he and his girlfriend are getting along or something, knowing his girlfriend's name. That kind of stuff has gone on since the dawn of time. We get called at Jabot, the kids get called everything from daddy's money Bible thumpers, paying for Christ's love and things like that. I don't let any of that bother me. But you guys seem to kind of know where the line is. Every now and then I think you have to be jerked back into perspective a little bit. But as for, this bashing, so to speak, there is a fine line there between the coffee clatch getting together on a Saturday morning at McDonald's or the local coffee shop and just being ruthless about a particular coach. I think that's a little harsh.
And no, by the way, sorry to interject here real quick. But one thing in his letter that I definitely do not agree with is the fact that where he started talking about the coaches and respect them because, you know, we've hired them and they put all this time and effort and all this, but that doesn't mean they're the right person for the job. So we see that happen a million times in a million different districts. And we've all experienced it,
Yep.
whether it's us as players or us as parents. And so again, I don't like that part at all. Don't tell me I have to respect someone because they in your estimation they're doing a good job, quote unquote, because they're showing up and putting in a lot of hours. That's BS to me. I don't like that at all.
Any coach that stands in front of his athletes and says, you are going to respect me because it says coach in front of my name, probably is the wrong guy.
That nonsense. You have to earn that.
And I've always been of that mindset that my players that I'm meeting for the first time, I don't think that they probably have maybe have a lot of respect for me until maybe the second or third day, or maybe it's later in that same practice and they realize something. But you can also lose respect for an individual. And if we're going to just blanketly say, well, he was hired by the board, so he's got to be okay.
Right.
You know, we've seen plenty of evidence of guys that are in over their head, guys that are overmatched, guys that are in love with the idea, I guess, of coaching, but have no real self-awareness. They don't realize just how bad they really are.
No, and it's great. It's fine if you enjoy doing it and you want to do it, but
how can you enjoy that?
There has to be results. It's a results-oriented business at the end of the
not
day.
Not everywhere, it's not.
Well, but whether we're talking, you're talking middle school, high school, you're talking club, you have to be able to get results. And again, I'm all for supporting the coaches and the referees and everything like that, but to ask people just to sit there and sit on their hands and not get emotion, and I'm not saying going bonkers off the wall, but to just have people come in and have it be a vanilla, sterile environment. Oh, by the way, that rowdiness is what gives you a home court advantage.
Absolutely,
so,
and I totally encourage that kind of rowdiness. The fact is that there are times where you and I see coaching and we say, "Oh my God, they can't be this lost." Right? You just can't be.
right.
But that we both have a pretty high threshold for what we're looking for too. I realize that to the common fan, it may appear that everything's okay and things like that, but I believe that we've gotten too far away from this. Where you do need to actually win. I think we've gotten too far away from that. Where, well, hey, as long as we got good kids. As long as the kids are good.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you make your kids wear suits to games, and they're yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, but they go 0-30.
Right.
That's not what you're trying to accomplish.
No.
I had a tie policy with my kids when I was a head coach, and will if I ever do it again. And I'm like you, Scott. I've had more recent battles with parents than even you have. You were smart enough to get out of it and not jump back in. We started this whole podcast thing a few months ago with Eliminate the Ding Dong, I think episode 1. And
A classic.
It is a classic. And the ding dong can be anybody. It can be an administrator, it can be a parent, it can be a student for that matter. And but the problem is there needs to be more emphasis on winning.
Well, and not only that, but we're also, to me, and I can't speak for the man obviously, but to me, if I get a letter like that in the mail, we're trying to head off something that hasn't even happened yet. We're trying to keep everybody happy. We're trying to sing Kumbaya and get ice cream after the game.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep people from calling my office and coming at me for whatever reason. Whether it's an official, whether it's a parent, whether it's a player, whether it's anybody, whether it's grandma and grandpa. I'm sending this letter out as my warning shot across the bow that, hey, let's all play nice. and let's all, and again, where are we at in society where I have to send out a letter if I'm a superintendent asking parents to behave themselves? That's ridiculous. And oh, by the way, most gyms we go into, there are police officers there in
Yep.
one way, shape, or form,
Yep.
for a big part of the game, if not the entire game. Let somebody get out of hand, and then let them get escorted out, and then you tell them, okay, everybody's entitled to a bad day. That's your bad day. If it happens again, you're never coming back in
Right,
here.
you're just done.
Right. I mean, so stop it. Just stop it.
Just behave yourselves. And it's funny, as I was telling somebody professionally that I work with, who I have a lot of respect for, I was telling them the other day that the part of the problem with coaching is it is a bit of a sickness. And what I mean by that is, once it grabs you, it's sort of there for life. It's a virus. It's whatever you want to call it. And there are little points in your career that may push you away, but you never stop being a coach. And I know I would say, well, I'm never doing that again. I said I wasn't going to be back in the classroom, and here I am. You know, I fully expect at some point I will get back into a head coaching position. And when I do, this is the society that I'm getting ready to coach.
Yeah, I don't know.
And these people that we're talking to are raising children.
Well, and you and I joke.
Can you imagine?
And you and I joke with some of the people that we know. Gary Mauser in particular, that he kind of kids with us that he'd like to get back in it, and we said he would last 30 seconds of the first practice. But we're quickly morphing into that too.
That same guy.
I
right,
mean,
yeah.
because society has changed so much. I mean, there's no way kids today could go through what we went through in practice. And I'm not saying that to sound like, oh my God, what we went through was borderline near-death experience. But you just can't. I mean, practices were longer, they were much harder. You can't do certain things today, and I don't care what the sport is. You can't do certain things today you could do 30 years ago, some good, some bad.
Our practices were never on the internet.
No.
Nobody ever got out a video camera and shot any of my practices, thank God, or I'd still be litigating.
Right.
The fact is that I'm more concerned. The parents don't bother me. I think parents are easy to deal with. It's the fact that the nutty parents, some of these nutballs, are raising kids.
Not some.
And so what do we expect out of the kids?
No, I agree 100%.
Are you following our feed?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we need to address? Okay.
No.
Anybody offer to give us $5,000?
And therein lies the problem. When it's your fault as either a coach, a teacher, or administrator. You have a kid in a class for an hour a day. I know that's not always the case, but an hour a day, and somehow you're supposed to work miracles 5 hours in a week.
Yeah.
When the child is at home, obviously, the vast majority of the time and getting influence there, but all of a sudden they come to class and don't perform at a certain level, or they don't come to the gym and don't perform at a certain level, and now it's your fault. I got nothing for them.
Yeah, no, I get it. I thought this was interesting, coming on the heels of the letter that we read last year from the superintendent at Waterloo. Similar tone. His was a little more biting, I think. But it's, hey, you got to leave these guys alone or they're not going to come back, when it came to the officials. So I hope it changes, and I hope we become more of a results-oriented athletic society. But right now, we got to give everybody a ribbon and a bow with a bow on it. We've got one more segment. We're going to tear a little bit more into this basketball schedule from Saturday and also talk about the upcoming week. You are watching the 618 High School Huddle, hosted by BigRedWorld.org. Coming out of the holiday season, your ball player is going to want to get ready for the spring, because spring will be here before we know it. It feels far away, although maybe not today. It's beautiful outside. But when you think about the spring and you think about the summer and you think about baseball, one name should come to mind, and that's Mark Clark with 21 Baseball. Mark is a seasoned professional who does it the right way. There's plenty of scam artists out there that will take your $5,000 and be more than happy to tell you how great your kid is. Mark will tell you how great your kid is only if your kid really is great. If he's not, he'll tell you that too. And sometimes the truth is hard to hear, but Mark Clark has never been accused of not being honest. Nobody does it as clearly and distinctly for a rate that really he probably shouldn't do. Somebody with his experience and his background should be charging way more for lessons, but he doesn't see it that way. He believes that everybody that wants to train and get better in baseball should have the opportunity to do it. Mark's a South Side guy. He's got a South Side mentality, and he's amazing. Check out 21 Baseball. You can give Mark a call and set up a free evaluation at 314-583-3302. Mark Clark, Tyler Warren, and the gang at 21 Baseball, great supporters of ours. Thanks very much. Oh, we're good. I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. We didn't get a countdown here at this professional operation. Segment 3 of Sunday, December the 1st. Wow, it's December 1st.
Crazy.
Actually felt a little December-y out there today. We've got a lot of tournaments have wrapped for basketball, and some are still ongoing. Tomorrow night we will be back in the house at Mascoutah. Really excited to check out the Westland Warriors. By all accounts, a major rebuilding project underway for Brent Brady and his staff, but a project that might be a little bit ahead of schedule, as they gave Mascoutah all they wanted the other night, lost 53-50. Then they were beaten last night by West Frankfort, at West Frankfort, it looked like to me. So it'll be interesting. I'm anxious to get a look at them.
Yeah, I am too.
And there's a freshman, as I've talked about before, Grant Fridley, that is going to be a really, really good player. And I'm sure Brent will take his time at easing him into things as he gets stronger and more mature. But dude comes from good stock, man. I can speak of that in the first person, because I was around his dad for a couple of years there, and his dad was an amazing player. So we'll see them. I'm also anxious to get another look at Columbia. I don't think that was the debut that Coach Demizian wanted.
Well, missing a couple players. Kids just got done with football. I think he's taking this, at least if I were in his shoes, I would, this first couple weeks. Hey, try to round everybody into form. And yes, sure, you want to win, but see where we're at here as these first 2 weeks go along, and hopefully things will get better from there.
A little bit disorganized, a little bit of staleness I felt at times. Kids weren't, I don't know that they knew where to go or didn't know where to go, but there just was no flow to the offense.
No,
and
23 points.
They've got some work to do. And don't for one second think that they didn't miss Sam Horner.
Sure.
Sam Horner is going to score for them, and they have to have him out there. So we'll see what happens. AJ, you had a chance to check out the Jabot Hawks the other day against Dupo, I believe. Your thoughts on the Hawks, who are now 3-1 all of a sudden. What do you think?
They have a lot of stuff to figure out.
Like what?
Well, I think they still need to figure out the final concrete starting five.
Mm-hmm.
And still too many turnovers. I think they had
I think that's
eight
a fair.
or 9 last night, or
Yeah.
their last game.
I don't know that 8 or 9 is a super big problem at the high school level. I think anytime you get into double digits, you got an issue. Because with 8 or 9, let's say that every player has one. You've got 8 guys that you play, and they all have 1 turnover. Okay, it happens. I don't think that's, especially like when I think about the tempo that I coach at, sometimes the style will lend itself to getting to having some turnovers, and it just sort of happens. What are you doing? What
He doesn't know.
just tell me, and I can.
I'm just gonna pull up the stats because I know we had 2 players with 3.
Yeah, here I got it. I'm a little faster at this
There's
than you.
2 players with 3, and a player with 2 and a player with 1. So it might have been more, but
One of the things that concerns me in the early going, I know we've only been to a few games, but you look at some of the scores, there's no offense. Their team's scoring 20 points or less, and it's unbelievable. And I don't care, football going on or not, that's ridiculous.
Oh, it was a bit worse.
Well, this is for the whole season. But still, they've played 4 games, and they've got 17, 18, and 23, 32, 42.
I,
Like
love,
60.
I love the both of you are counting at the same time.
60.
That's great.
I've got 58, but that's okay. So 58 turnovers in
That's
3
almost
games.
15 a game.
That's way too many. And I think there's a couple of things at work here. The reason I wanted to bring up the Jabot Hawks is, Dennis got something this year that he hasn't gotten in the last couple of years, and that's he got some players to come out that had not been part of the program in years. Max Kostelak has rejoined the team. He wants to contribute his senior year, and he's off to a heck of a start. He's averaging about 11.5 a game, and that's a weird number because he actually had the Dupo game, I think he only had 2 or 3 points.
Yeah.
But he has been their leading scorer, is their leading scorer currently with 46 points. Where he's really making a difference is on the defensive and on the rebounding end, averaging 7.3 rebounds a game, and pretty balanced there. He's got 29 total rebounds, 14 offensive, 15 defensive. So if you look at that, he's really killing it on the offensive glass, and Dennis really needed that size. The other kid that I want to talk about is this Cameron Hanvey. And folks, I want you to remember this name. He is going to be the next great Jabot guard, and you got to trust me. Scott and I have been around a while. He is a freshman that looks like a senior. He's chiseled. He's mature beyond his years on the court. He can shoot it. What he does really well is dribble, penetrate, and find open guys. And I have to say that I saw Carson Hewells play as a freshman. He was pretty weak and obviously very talented. This kid is ahead of him a little bit based on his body. He's just a really, really strong kid. And got a chance to talk to his dad the other day. Just good family, just a good kid. So I'm anxious to see how Cameron Hanvey develops. He's got 39 points so far on the year. I think he's shooting free throws a little bit like a freshman. 2 for 10 from the line. I think he's a little bit nervous. Well, if you look at Jabot, they're just not shooting it very well from the free throw line. You've got a kid that's 2 for 10, one that's 2 for 7, one that's 1 for 4.
That's not
10 for 19.
That's something like most Dennis coach
No, and
teams.
They shot 4 for 15 the first night.
Yeah, the night they lost to Odin. So I didn't know what to expect, but getting back to Hanvey, he's averaging 3.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and more importantly, 3 steals. Those are really good numbers for a freshman, all the way across the board. So fun kid to watch. Get out and check him out. He's going to be a handful, and if they can put some of the pieces together, they'll be in 1A. They might be a bit of a handful. But moving on to the rest of this tournament, that's all happening in the Metro East Lutheran tournament, which it's not my favorite tournament. I think is the safe way you get, because here's what you get: you get 2 kinds of teams in there.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. No.
I mean, because, like we talked about earlier, some of the games are played in an off gym, which almost does look like,
Well, it's not even wood.
It's
not
gym,
even wood floor.
Right, it's
It looks like a junior high gym.
right,
Yeah.
or gym class.
Yeah.
Just where you would have gym class. So,
Yeah. It's that, and so you get kind of 2 sorts of teams that go to this. You get very low-level small schools, and when I say low-level, I'm talking about schools that typically just aren't. They get into this because they know they're going to see some other low-level schools, might pick up a win, maybe you pick up 2. I guess there's 3 teams. The second are those teams that clearly don't belong in this thing. And I'm going to throw in there Mater Dei. I'm going to throw in there Alton Marquette. I'm going to throw in there Lift for Life. They don't belong in this. But in the case of Alton Marquette and Mater Dei, especially Mater Dei,
you could have a potential football hangover. You could also have guys that, I mean, you could have had guys that were playing yesterday, right? Or the day before. So, like Napa Vanis had to be up at state yesterday to get his all-state plaque, and state's all the way up into Cobb. The football season isn't officially over yet until now. So if you have a team that has either football or soccer, with Jabot, it was always soccer, where you just didn't know if Hewells and Dorr were going to be ready to go, or Trevor Davis was going to be ready to go, or back before that, the Degner and Mitch Meyer and those guys. So those are the other schools. And then the I guess if there is a third type of school, you have those schools that are just looking to sort. They know they're going to have a tough schedule down the road. They play one of the, like Jabot's a great example of this. They play a brutal schedule for the most part. And this is, I think, a chance to extend practice by a week, right? Instead of beating up on each other, we go there and beat up on teams. But it backfired this year as they got beat by Odin. Larry.
Oh,
no, that was Obin. Yeah, so anyway, the championship, that thing had been won by Alton Marquette the last few years. And Lift for Life Academy, a private school out of, I think it's over at the Boys Club. I'm almost positive, over there on Broadway.
and not to pick on that tournament, we're just talking about it. Some of the teams that won games in that tournament were in the 30s.
Yeah, the scoring's bad.
Yeah, it's
Centralia has a pretty nice little tournament, but Belleville East played Chicago Carver and beat them 70-16. What? Why would Chicago Carver make that drive
to score 16
to
points.
score 16 points? And I don't know what else they did in that tournament, but that's usually pretty good. A pretty good showing, really, for Collinsville, as they went down and played in the Pyramid Classic down in Southern Illinois. And I know Rayshawn Taylor went off. I believe he was the MVP of the tournament. Really excited to see this kid play. We've also got teams like, you see CBC here, went all the way to Duncanville, Texas. And I know they're traveling up to Chicago at one point. So we got a little bit of everything going on. Here, Mater Dei beat Metro East Lutheran 54-17.
Man.
And that would have been in, I guess that was third place. Was that third place? Had to be, right? Or was that fifth place? No, I guess that was fifth place.
No. Mater Dei lost in the semifinals.
What place did Jabot get?
Oh, they did. Okay. Jabot got the consolation championship.
Okay, so then.
So of all the losers, they were
Right.
the best one.
Right.
And the consolation championship is tough because you've already got it's a double elimination tournament. You get that one loss, you lose again.
Right.
Then you're playing in some, in the 17th place game
Right.
at 9 a.m. and they actually play that game outdoors.
On top floor.
Just to discourage you from being in it. We do see that O'Fallon has gotten off to a good start. There's a lot of hype about this team. They've won their first 3 games, 62-40, a very nice win over St. Mary's. They beat Rittner 75-37, and here's the one that really made my eye pop was their beating of Carbondale. Awful good program down there. So good start for O'Fallon. I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got to offer. Excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to get going.
I am concerned about the scoring, or the lack thereof.
Boy.
And it's not just the lack of scoring, but the lack of shots that we've seen at some of these games.
Well, and again, it's early, and you don't want to label a team already, but we've seen a lot of teams where there's no offensive flow at all. Kids look lost. Kids are either hanging around at the three-point line, too much dribbling going on, settling for shots that they have no business taking to begin with. So hopefully some of that will smooth itself out.
Yeah, it's sort of stunning, some of the stats that we've seen so far, and we'll get into this more next week. But we will be at Mascoutah tomorrow night to check out Waterloo against Westland. Maybe this will give Waterloo a chance to get off the schneid. They're averaging 19.5 points a game, and they have not been in either game. They got beat 68-20 by Mascoutah. and then they got beat 47-19 by Nashville. Nashville looks scary good though.
Already, out of the gate without 4 or 5 kids ever playing
They
football.
get kids up in
unbelievable.
DeKalb playing football on Friday. You would,
Just a machine.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And like I said, I think things will get better for Columbia as well. AJ, got anything you want to add? Good to have you back, buddy.
Well, a tournament that reminds me of like what the Metro East tournament was a couple years ago when Waterloo and Highland would switch off with that Thanksgiving tournament.
Yeah, that was a fun tournament.
You'd have Alpop and Carbondale, and Alpop, that was the year they won state, I believe.
They
and they were
finished second. They got beat by Chicago Phillips.
well, and then
Yeah.
they were in. No, I'm talking about for basketball. The year they won state.
Oh, they did win state.
Yeah.
Went on to win state. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
They started at a tournament with you're playing Waterloo,
Highland.
Highland, Carbondale,
Uh-huh.
Marion, who was down that year. Edwardsville was in that too, and Edwardsville was good.
Yeah.
So there was 3 teams who had no business playing those type of schools.
But for Althoff, it was the perfect starter because remember they had a
One
kid.
out of 5 of their starters.
I think it was 0.
Brendan Gooch.
Oh yeah, the following year, because it was back-to-back years they were without. The following year, they had a JV kid was their leading scorer and actually made the all-tournament team.
Kid with glasses.
Yeah, what was his name?
I think his last name was Goodwin. I think he was somehow distantly related to Jordan.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
I know that his last name was good,
Really?
but I don't know that the relationship thing is.
No, you're thinking of Ryder Goodwin.
Oh no.
That's it's a white kid.
No, but this kid's last name was Goodwin.
No, they didn't have 3 Goodwins on that team.
He said
I'm telling
distant relative.
you. Okay. We hope you've enjoyed it. Sometimes we don't always bring the funny. The funny just comes to us. What a great fun it is to get out and about and see everybody. Come up and say hi to us. Unless you hate us, then just stay away. And we'll look forward to seeing you at gyms this week and in the coming weeks. And before you know it, holiday tournament time will be here. And we'll be getting fat on hospitality food,
Absolutely.
which is good for me. Thanks so much for checking us out. What?
And getting banned like I did that one year.
Yeah, you'll get kicked out.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening and checking us out. Great to have AJ back in the fold with us. You have been watching
That's one opinion.
the 618 High School Huddle, hosted by BigRedWorld.org.
Give us a follow on all forms of social media. We're very, very active, of course, with Twitter, which is at HSHuddle618. Please give us a follow. We love the growth that we've had. It's been wonderful, but we want to continue to grow this, and we want to be your primary source for sports information in our area. You can also check us out on Instagram, which is also HSHuddle618. And I think, is that an @ also, Colin? All right, so an @ on that. Then check us out on Facebook. Give our page a like. It's just 618 High School Huddles, all you have to put in, and you'll find it. You go right to it. And the same thing with YouTube. We're starting to populate that with more videos, and as we're out at these various games, we're going to try to get more interviews and make this a little more of a thorough deal. But you can check out our past episodes also on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker.com. You can listen to the audio versions of our shows and download them and give them a like. We would really appreciate it. Thanks so much for all of the support we've had to this point. Can't wait to see what the next year brings.
Perfect.